Hello everyone, this is part 21 of What If Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Katsumoto Narukami, the third Kazekage, couldn't believe the sight before his eyes. He felt his own followers standing beside him gasping in shock. They should be, for nearly 20,000 fighters stood before them. The White Wolf was and that news had broken any hope of alliance in Katsumoto's heart. Yet news again reached him that he had left a successor and heir to his legacy. And that heir now stood before him. It was a boy with bright red hair, pale skin and cold eyes. Sitting atop his dark horse and that massive army behind him, the boy had clearly given a signal of his power. He had more fighters than entire Suna combined, how Katsumoto didn't know. The young wolf. Befitting the boy's name, there stood a dark black-colored wolf which looked quite normal in size in contrast to the massive white beast of his predecessor. Katsumoto saw Mifune of the samurai along with the beautiful silver-haired girl beside the boy. And they had brought along with them the leaders of every smaller ninja village in the world. Snow had covered the vast open fields of the land of iron. The weather was chilling and hazardous, yet the boy dressed in his winter clothing seemed at ease. He had no fear and was intently staring at the Suna delegation. The army appeared out of nowhere, thought Katsumoto grimly. He had sent scouts ahead to search the area, but they had only reported a small group of leaders waiting for them at Shuri Castle. But when he finally arrived here, 20,000 soldiers were waiting for him. Those soldiers are wearing the same Akatsuki uniform, Kazekage-sama, stated Pakura worriedly. This is treachery, spat Baki furiously, and received a fan to his head courtesy of Chio. Shut up, you oaf. If they want to chaos they would have done so already. We are more valuable to him alive than chastised the veteran Kunoiki who had seen one great war. She's right, but if it turns worse, I will protect the Kazekage, promised Rasa, a bright auburn-haired Junin who could manipulate gold dust. Katsumoto gave his right-hand man a firm nod. Rasa was a fine man and had all the traits worthy of a future Kazekage. If things turned bad it would not be Rasa staying behind but Katsumoto himself to allow his group to escape. Yet he couldn't help but clearly see the shift in the power balance of this world. This young wolf had a gigantic army. Even if it was not the best, he had the numbers to defeat Suna when they were already weakened with the ongoing war against Konoha. Their resources were running low, their nation was already poor to begin with, and this war had almost emptied their wealth. The Wind Daimyo had firmly refused any support, blaming Katsumoto for starting this war when he had done no such thing. The foolish old man had asked Katsumoto to surrender and ask terms from Konoha. And Danzo Shimura would use that chance to ruin Suna once and for all. Yet now as he stared at this boy, Katsumoto couldn't help but wonder, had he chosen a devil over a demon instead? He carefully observed the other smaller village leaders. Their body language showed nervousness at the prospect of another conflict starting up. But all those men and women firmly stood behind the young wolf, clearly showing he had won them over. And how couldn't he? Those smaller villages were already being attacked by Konoha and Iwa from both sides. They would be made when they were defeated, which they would be without support. And this boy had an army that could turn the tide. However, he was still outnumbered. Konoha and Iwa had brought forward their entire military of trained ninjas along with the thousands of royal guards and bushi warriors of the daimyo. They had also raised thousands of peasants from their nations to fight in their armies, promising them riches when the war was won. The final tally was dangerous. Konoha had nearly 30,000 soldiers, including every ninja, royal soldiers, bushi, and peasant warriors. Iwa had nearly 20,000 soldiers, including every ninja, royal soldiers, bushi, and peasant warriors. Those two warrior nations had a far massive war sea and resources to fight with. Their supply lines were well formed and maintained. And it was exactly the reason why this young wolf had not attacked Katsumoto and his group. The boy got off his horse and approached towards the Suna group alone without fear. Katsumoto returned the gesture and walked ahead, much to the protest of his warriors. When they met in the middle of the field, both man and boy gazed into each other's eyes. What is your name? Asked Katsumoto, keeping his voice firm and confident. Nagato Uzumaki, Lord Fifth of Azu, commander of Akatsuki forces, and leader of the Great Union. Katsumoto's respect for the boy increased a little on hearing about the level of responsibility he had shouldered. Not only was he a village leader and commander of a vast army, he was also the representative of the possible future of the ninja world. And he barely looked past 15. Those are a lot of les, said Katsumoto kindly with a smile. He had expected the boy to smile at the small joke, but he did no such thing. Instead, his eyes held sadness of a very particular kind, one which Katsumoto knew very well. He was never meant to be the leader. But he was now. What are your intentions, Nagato Uzumaki? Asked Katsumoto seriously. I offer these terms. The boy passed Katsumoto a scroll and received a calculative glance from the Suna leader. Sighing, Nagato himself opened the scroll, touched it and then passed it on to his counterpart. Katsumoto still looked at him instead of reading the scroll. You would not offer me even a roof. Hospitality. The boy gave him a chilling gaze in return. Only if you accept those terms. If not, then you shall here along with all your supporters. Katsumoto felt a shiver run down his spine on seeing the ruthlessness in those eyes. This was a person who didn't trust, who wouldn't hesitate to anyone if they got in his way, who was determined to win and crush his enemy brutally. He looked at his supporters and froze on seeing them getting surrounded by nearly 100 warriors of Akatsuki who rose from the very snowy ground around them like S. And Katsumoto never sensed them. This was no ordinary army. He looked back at Nagato and saw that cold smile on his face. He had made his point. Is this how you negotiate? Asked Katsumoto furiously. You mistake my intention, Kazekage. This is not a negotiation, warned Nagato. The other weaker villages might have bowed to you, but Suna will not. You need our help, and if you us here then you will face the wrath of my nation, said Katsumoto icily, and saw Nagato smirk. Does it look like I care about your wrath, revenge or death? Katsumoto was again shocked on seeing no fear in those eyes. Nagato was prepared to and so was the army standing behind him. Suna is finished, Kazekage. You are no longer worthy or strong enough to call yourself one of the Great Five. Your army is weak, your resources dwindling, your daimyo doesn't support you. It is only a matter of time before I or Konoha finish you once and for all, said Nagato fearlessly. Katsumoto would have refuted all those claims if they were not true. But if you join me in the Union, I promise your nation shall never cry again for water. This was a day of surprises for Katsumoto. Water was the most precious commodity in his barren nation full of desert. The lack of it was the reason Suna had never developed. His nation barely had any fertile lands for agriculture, water for irrigation, or much wealth to develop anything else. The only thing that had kept Suna standing was their jinchuriki, the daimyo's minimal support which was now gone, and the decent army which was small and low on morale. Suna was already staring at its worst defeat. It could be in months, few years, or a decade at most. But it was coming. He then decided to read the terms offered by Nagato and then make a decision. What he saw made his jaw drop. 1. Destruction of the Wind Daimyo and removing him from power. In his place, the Kazekage shall rule the Wind Nation and answerable only to the Union leader. 2. Your family shall be made the new royalty with your sons and daughters fostering in different villages for 5 years until returning to Suna. They shall marry heirs to other noble rulers of different nations chosen by the Union Council. 3. Free trade shall be mandatory across all Union nations along with citizenship. 4. Each nation shall pay taxes to the Union which shall be utilized for the development of infrastructure, technology, and healthcare across member states accordingly. 5. A megacorps shall supply water and electricity to all member states in return for compensation, goods and protection. 6. Kusagacorps and Takagacorps shall supply food to all member states in return for money, protection and resources. 7. Sungacorps will be responsible for supplying their advanced medical technology and develop their lands for tourism over the years with the help of the Union. 8. Every member state shall not have more than 500 soldiers under its command. The security of every member state shall be provided for by the Union Army to whom every nation shall send men and women. 9. Any act of war by one member against another without Union approval shall lead to complete boycott from the remaining members. The transgressor shall be destroyed economically first, followed by military annihilation. 10. Laws and rules shall be common across all member nations and will be decided with the approval of all leaders at a future date. 11. The Union shall have one common currency only. 12. Most importantly, no more jinchuriki shall be created. The current ones serving the enemy shall be put to death, and the allied ones shall live their life peacefully, and on the death the search for tailed beasts shall be forbidden. Any transgressor will have their nation burned to every last man, woman and child for breaking this sacred law. 13. No more new nations shall be created. Any attempt of rebellion shall be put down by the combined might of the Union. There were more points which Katsumoto read quickly and then glanced at the boy who had been waiting patiently. This time the Kazekage could not hide his shock. You can't be serious, said Katsumoto in disbelief. I am, Kazekage. My terms are not my concern. I am offering a future to your family, your people, and your nation. I offer terms which neither Konoha or Iwa shall ever offer you. They will destroy your lands, L your women, K your men, and turn your nation into a massive graveyard, warned Nagato. Katsumoto knew deep in his heart he was being offered everything he and his people had ever wanted. But there was a cost. Who will be the Union leader? Asked Katsumoto sternly, making the boy smile. It shall always be a leader commonly chosen by the will of every member nation. For this era, I am chosen the Union leader by the 5 member nations of Azu, Am, Taki, Kusa, and Samurai, and will remain so until my death or retirement, admitted Nagato frankly. The last time a sand leader chose to trust anyone he was K and the enemy LR lands and people, said Katsumoto bitterly. I am not those men. Katsumoto heard that determined promise and saw the fire in the boy's eyes. He was young and didn't have any malice for Suna. Despite his hard-handed tactics, Katsumoto saw a strange righteousness in him. I am Nagato. Uzumaki Nagato. The Kazekage was impressed with this boy. He was strong, powerful, decisive, and had a plan which was more than what others could offer him. Suna had 2 choices: a river of water, prosperity and development, or a river of and misery. Katsumoto knew what choice he had to make. He didn't know how history or his people would judge him. Perhaps they would hate him, but at least they would live to hate him. The battlefield turned deathly silent as the Kazekage unleashed his sword and knelt. My sword is yours and Suna a part of the Union, from now until the end of time. Katsumoto finally looked at the boy who was to be his new leader. There was no victory or pride in those cold eyes, only plain acceptance of the loyalty pledged to him. A loyalty earned through force, but then again that was the only way any man had ever knelt to another in this ninja world. The Kazekage glanced sideways as his people arrived beside him. Many of them were furious, some were resigned, and Chio stared him in the eye. He nodded. The old woman gave a tired sigh, followed by joining Katsuro to kneel before the redhead boy. Pakura was next, followed by a reluctant Rasa and a disgruntled Baki and the remaining Suna ninja. The silver-haired girl came forward and stood beside Nagato. Do you swear to protect our lands, our people, our future, Nagato Uzumaki? Asked Chio seriously. Now and always, replied Nagato honestly. The old woman gave a small smile in return. Then you shall have 10,000 Suna warriors for your war, promised Katsumoto. This time it was not Nagato but the silver-haired girl who spoke with a smile that made even the cold weather a little warm. There was pride and absolute conviction in her eyes, along with faint terror as she unleashed her sword to raise it in the air. Lord Fifth. The sound of 20,000 swords being unleashed filled the air, along with the historic sight of the same number of soldiers kneeling and yelling. Lord Fifth. Lord Fifth. Lord Fifth. Akino walked through the vast halls of Shuri Castle in search of her friend. The past week had not been kind to Nagato. Back and forth had they traveled to rally all the smaller village leaders. Luckily, they had agreed without much struggle or risk annihilation either through Iwa or Konoha, or through Nagato. She still shivered on remembering her kind and gentle friend promising genocide to any leader who refused to join the Union. Nagato had changed. He was so cold, so angry, so restless and hungry for Akino and Mifune had wanted him to negotiate with Suna instead of threatening them like he had done. Pain and fear shall unite us, Akino. She had never forgotten the look in his eyes when he had said those words. He was in so much pain that it hurt. The only thing driving him forward was the desire to revenge their friend. She stopped and collapsed against a nearby wall, feeling so tired and miserable. Her heart longed for those days in a zoo, a time when the three of them were each other's world, when they had dreams of becoming strong shinobi to protect their nation. She longed for Nagato's shy smile, for Naruto's silence, for Katsuro-sama's teachings. Tears spilled from her eyes and she couldn't stop them. She didn't want to. We never wanted power. We just want our lives back. She tried to picture Naruto's face, his reserved smile, his snarky remarks, the way he used to fight alongside his two friends. But little by little, those memories were fading away. He was fading away, and she didn't even know where his body was. Akeno felt someone lay a hand on her shoulder and looked up to see it was Nagato himself. For once, he looked just as miserable as her. I miss him, Nagato. Me too, he whispered as his fingers gently wiped away her tears. I keep hoping that this is just a bad dream. That when I wake up I will be in a zoo before this horror came in our lives. I want to go home, whispered Akeno. Do you want to go home? Asked Nagato. She nodded hesitantly but spoke before he could say anything. After I help you win this war. He grimly smiled and bumped his forehead against hers as she caressed his face and noticed his growing beard. You need to shave. Huh? He asked dumbly, blinking in surprise, making Akeno roll her eyes. You're becoming a hairy ape, Nagato. His jaw dropped at her remark, which made her laugh as she saw the comical look on his face. She showed him his long hair that were covering half his face and reaching his shoulders, not to mention the rough beard that was growing across his face. Oh, Akeno smiled on seeing a small glimpse of her shy and gentle Nagato as he fumbled for an answer but in the end could only sigh in defeat. Come on, I'll help you, she offered with a smile, and narrowed her eyes when he blanched. You? He asked in horror. Is there a problem? She asked in a menacing manner. No. Good. He pouted, which earned him a bump on the head. Hey. Akeno bumped him on the head again. You may be Lord Fifth and all other fancy les. But to me you are the same stupid oaf who forgets to take care of himself. I'll have you appear as a man and not a monkey when we face Konoha, scolded Akeno good-naturedly. Nagato's cheeks turned crimson. She shook her head at his clumsiness, but it was also what made him dear to her. Akeno made him stand up as both of them walked together towards one of the rooms where she knew Hanzo had stored provisions for them. Nagato followed her lead without any question and sat on a nearby chair on her order. Akeno rummaged through a few drawers of the table and finally found a scissor and comb along with the pointed blade. She had specifically requested for these things, knowing Nagato always forgot about such trivial things. He was clumsy like that. As she walked back towards him, Akeno saw him give a resigned sigh of defeat which only made her smirk. She began to see his hair with as much grace she could muster while he remained silent, lost in his own thoughts. Even when she finished trimming his long hair into a passable haircut he had always sported, he had not uttered a word. What's on your mind? She asked. Naruto was the best among us. On the battlefield he was a force to be feared and a sharp commander. Yet he still lost, said Nagato hesitantly. Akeno busied herself in cleaning up the mess even as she pondered on his words. What makes you think I can do better? I am a soldier, Akeno. I've always followed Naruto's lead and now. You find yourself leading an army, she finished for him, earning a nod from the nervous boy. Imagine what Naruto must have felt when he was handed leadership of all our clan's survivors when Azu fell. He was just as scared, angry and helpless as you are now. But I think he believed in his duty towards our clan and to us above all else. It gave him the strength to lead, that is what I think, she explained, and looked at him. What gives you strength? Nagato looked at her with determination. To fulfill Naruto's dream is my goal. I am willing to pay any price for that, he said with conviction, earning a smile from her. You've done well so far, Nagato. You united the smaller villages. When all of us wanted to negotiate with the Kazekage, you instead went with your instinct. You surrounded him with 20,000 soldiers and gave him a choice, and now Suna is ours. Naruto would be proud of you, for you proved yourself worthy of being his heir, said Akeno proudly. I would throw this all away for one chance to save him, he regretted. We can't. He is gone, and as much as that hurts me, his dream is all that we have left of him. If we fulfill his dream, then we'll be able to proudly face him in the heaven and then beat him senseless for his stupidity, she said with a half smile. He didn't laugh at her joke and instead stared at her worriedly. Akeno, you can go back to Izu if you want. It is safe there and our people will need you. I don't know what will happen in this war, we are heavily outnumbered despite Suna's addition. I cannot lose my last friend, pleaded Nagato. Are you finished? He flinched at her cold tone and saw the rising anger in her eyes. I'll be damned if I leave you alone when you need me most. You are my last friend and if I am to rest then it shall be by your side. Family, duty, honor, she repeated. Family, duty, honor. She nodded when he repeated their clan's words and accepted her choice. Akeno helped him shave off his beard and made him appear as a decently presentable person. It wouldn't do well for the army to see their leader in a haggard state. No matter the cold weather of winter. They both walked towards the window and observed the snowy lands and the large camp outside the castle where the entire army was resting in their tents. Nagato placed his hand outside and gathered some snow. Winter is here, and those Konoha bastards will find it difficult to fight in such cold weather after being accustomed to their beautiful and summery lands, said Nagato frankly. It is a good thing those Zetsu soldiers don't need any food or water. The weather doesn't affect them much, believe me any normal army would be troubled to fight a war in such weather. It is good that you directed the 10,000 strong Suna forces to start attacking Iwa and aid Hanzo. The sand ninjas are used to heat and not the cold snows, advised Akeno. I sent Katsumoto back to Suna to explain his decision and start sending men to help Hanzo. The rest of his delegation is my hostage here. They will fight beside me and act as reassurance against any treachery. I wanted Mifune to go as well to keep an eye on Suna and Katsumoto, but he stubbornly refused, said Nagato irritatedly, but she shook her head for he was wrong this time. Mifune has seen more of war than either of us. He is a strong commander and we need his strategic mind if we are to win, advised Akeno. Then what am I? A figurehead? Asked Nagato bitterly, which made her flinch a little. She had been opposed to Mifune's decision of giving Nagato that wolf. It was just a wild animal that had been captured and tamed. It was nothing like Naruto's giant wolf, and Nagato had his own summon to begin with. But Mifune had insisted on it, proclaiming people followed and feared legends. Mifune had told them how the smaller villages were inspired by the white wolf when he retook Izu from Kumogakur, the strongest military power in the world. Nagato hadn't believed it but had reluctantly followed the suggestion. But Akeno had seen the reminiscent looks in the eyes of the Akatsuki soldiers when they saw Nagato first walk beside them with his wolf. For a moment those inhuman Zetsus had seemed so sad as if they still wept for their fallen leader. After that incident, Akeno had seen all the Zetsus guard Nagato even more fiercely, refusing to fail the new heir. Even the smaller village leaders of Kusa and Taki had been stunned and intimidated when Nagato met them alongside his wolf and a large contingent of soldiers. They submitted quickly, believing him to be the true successor of the White Wolf, and had hopes that Nagato would show them the same miracles. And not commit the same mistakes. So far, Nagato had fulfilled all those expectations. But now his real test was about to begin. Akeno chose her words carefully as she spoke. You are our leader, Nagato. Our entire army and this union follows you, believing you are Naruto's true heir. If you fall, we are finished. The army will scatter and our coalition will be destroyed. Mifune knows this. I admit Suna can still betray us, but it is a risk I shall take every day over losing you, she said stubbornly. He sighed but nodded as she laid a hand on his shoulder. Naruto was the better commander, but you are the better leader. It was you who formed all those policies we presented to the Kazekage, you who made all those village leaders see reason. I still can't believe you managed to make the Kazekage kneel. You are a ruler, Nagato. Naruto saw your potential and it was why he named you his heir above all others. All your life many people considered you weak and shy, even I did the same at times. But Naruto believed in your strength, and as for winning this war, trust Mifune to give you guidance and my sword to press our enemies. You have also been by Naruto's side all your life and learned many things of war from him. Try to recall any of Konoha's weakness Naruto ever mentioned to you. Directed Akeno. Nagato tapped his chin, trying to recall all the battles he had shared with his deceased friend. The feelings of victory and pride surged through him along with invincibility as he recalled how he never felt he could be defeated as long as Naruto was alive. He then remembered his friend's words before they left Konoha to go for Am. These southern bastards are too arrogant of their own strength. In a fair battle they can prove S because of their numbers and superior weapons, even their powerful ninjas. But they have one great blind spot. Akeno was surprised when Nagato laughed and K her forehead. What? Come. We have much to plan, he said as he grabbed her hand and ran. Mifune had a frown on his face as he stared at the map before him. The plan suggested by Nagato was. It is dishonorable, said the veteran samurai leader. Nagato frowned as he curbed the urge to s the old fool on the head. Mifune was a force to feared on the battlefield and in a fair war he had no equal. But these were shinobi he was fighting against. There is no place for honor left in this war, Mifune. It's the moment they am Naruto, said Nagato harshly. He's right, Mifune Dono. We cannot risk openly fighting against Konoha so early in the war, warned Ayami Kirishima, the dark-haired lady with fair and lovely skin. She gave Nagato an approving smile which made him blush a little and he had to remind himself this young woman of 18 was the leader of Takagakure. Akeno raised an eyebrow as she noticed but didn't say anything further. This was a war council, after all. I agree with the plan proposed by Lord Fifth. But I understand why an honorable samurai would find this dishonorable. In that case I wish to volunteer to lead the force, proposed Rasa, the sooner Junin Katsumoto had left behind. You could s. Why so eager for that? Asked Nagato sternly, as the auburn-haired shinobi glared at him. I don't like you. But I respect Katsumoto and my people will benefit from the union we have formed. I am loyal to Suna and have led many missions. I will do this for the future of my people, said Rasa flatly. Nagato didn't know why but he felt some ulterior motive in this man's eyes. Maybe he was being honest, maybe he was not. Sungakure and its ninjas were the most treacherous ones in the world. But he had less capable commanders to command his large army and Rasa was a good leader. If rumors were true he was even believed to become the fourth Kazekage with his ability to manipulate gold dust and control the Jinchuriki. But something was off about him. You will lead, Rasa. But not the force you want. The one who'll lead the strike team will be Chiyo-sama with Pakura as her second in command, decided Nagato. Both the ladies blinked at the decision until Chiyo laughed. Smart boy. But what would an old woman like me be of use in leading an entire force? Asked Chiyo with a laugh, receiving a cryptic smile from Nagato. You are a puppet master. I'd like you to make our enemies dance. Chiyo's laugh on realizing the boy had seen through her mask of an old woman. Nagato was wiser than she gave him credit for, he was not willing to trust easily unlike the white wolf who lost his life for the same mistake. Chiyo-sama shall command the attack and Pakura shall lead the charge. Any questions? Asked Nagato seriously. Pakura shook her head. Nagato then proceeded to give Rasa an easy smile which actually reached his eyes. Even Chiyo couldn't tell if it was fake or not, this boy was dangerous. Rasa, be patient. You will get justice against Konoha ninjas who K your people. Follow the plan and I shall have you leading the second attack after Chiyo-sama finishes hers. You can K anyone you want any way you want, I won't care. Just get me some prisoners for gathering intelligence and then eat them when I am done, placated Nagato. Chiyo's eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets when Rasa stopped scowling and gave a respectful nod. Very well, Lord Fifth. I'll follow this plan, agreed Rasa. Chiyo watched the young wolf interact with the other leaders and easily made him accept his plan. He even convinced most of the Sand Shinobi to follow his lead. Even that damned Pakura blushed when Nagato expressed his confidence in her ability to command troops. This boy was no great fighter and would be squashed before a cage, but he had a way with words. A smile, a pat on the shoulder, a praise here and there, expressing confidence to new allies. Nagato Uzumaki knew what to say to people and how to make them agree. He knew when to use force and when to use words. He convinced Katsumoto with force, Rasa with words and promises, Pakura and Lady Ayami with boyish charm. Most of all he had seen Chiyo's true worth or the danger she posed to him. Rasa was stronger than her but he was an ambitious idiot who had been placated with the right offer. Pakura and the other Suna ninjas were young ones eager to prove their worth to their new allies. But Chiyo, when the boy finally came to greet her she offered him her hand. Nagato stared at the gesture and then in Chiyo's eyes. She trembled. I know you're kind, treacherous bee. He gave her a small bow instead of shaking her hand thereby saving himself from the poisoned ring on her finger. I wish you good fortune, Lady Chio. And then he walked away, and only when he was gone from the room did Chio leave the breath she was holding. The young wolf wasn't so young, after all. 1 week later. Conan had never seen so much pride in Naruto's eyes as he read the recent letters from Azu. After facing that catastrophic defeat that threatened to destroy everything he had built, he now had some good news. Lord Arima, who had returned to Azu a few days ago on Naruto's orders, reported an attack from Konoha Anbu forces which was crushed mercilessly with the help of the 2,000-strong Akatsuki and 1,000 Uzumaki warriors that had been guarding the village fiercely. The Uzumaki and Akatsuki soldiers had been furious over Konoha betraying Nkei, their leader, so when the 100-plus Anbus launched a secret attack, they faced a wrath that the red-headed clan was known and feared for. Arima himself led the defense and reported complete victory with every Konoha Anbu put to death. While Naruto's forces lost nearly the same casualties. Considering they were fighting against Anbus, losing 100 to 200 soldiers was not a large price in Conan's opinion. But that wasn't the only reason Naruto looked so proud and happy. Yahiko and Daibatsu had won victory across the land of lightning. The daimyo's capital had fallen with his entire family put to death, ending thousands of years of feudal system. Conan still couldn't believe her two friends managed such a feat, but the letter was here in Yahiko's own handwriting and Daibatsu's signature. Those two had used their fury and wits to lure Kumo's entire army in a trap. Daibatsu had sailed his fleet to the daimyo's capital and began a siege, launching hellfire across the capital, sending the daimyo and his forces into a panic. In his fear of annihilation, the daimyo ordered Kumo's ninja forces to come to his aid, thereby ignoring Yahiko's army that had been marching to meet them. Reluctantly, the Kumo forces came to the capital, and that was the time when Yahiko attacked them from the rear. Daibatsu used that opportunity to breach the city, and together they both surrounded the enemy forces. It was ABS and the Akatsuki lost half of its army, but Yahiko, who had been furious on hearing of Naruto's charged ahead and the royal princes, sons of the daimyos, mercilessly. Daibatsu infiltrated the castle and captured the frightened daimyo, who ordered the surrender and was soon put to death along with his remaining family. The strongest nation on earth had fallen, and now their friends waited in those lands, loyally holding them in Naruto's name. In the west, Nagato had accepted the role of Naruto's successor. The shy boy had shown great courage and managed to unite every small village, and even sooner to form the union which Naruto had dreamed of his entire life. Hanzo was leading the battle against Iwa, and Suna forces who joined the war 2 days ago were supporting him with the Kazekage. And Nagato marched to war with Konoha with 20,000 fighters and Akino by his side. If the White Wolf was tragically remembered as a man of honor, the young wolf was remembered as a rising war hero and leader. Everyone, he whispered, unable to say anything more. XX. Naruto. The White Wolf, who was feared and respected across the world, nursed the large bumps on his head courtesy of Tsunade and Conan. If he didn't know any better, they had tried to kill him after saving his life. Still, instead of a scowl, there was a grateful smile on his face as he looked at the two ladies sitting beside him on the table. Looking at these two women, remembering Akino's support all these years, his mother's brief yet endless love for him made him realize another fact as he remembered the last conversation with his father. What do you really aim to achieve from this mission, father? It won't earn you honor but only death, he had said, only to see Minato smile. What is honor and duty compared to the love your mother gave me? I realized it too late, so don't make the same mistake as me. What is death compared to the future my sons shall have? Minato had asked kindly with a gentle smile. Father, family is all that matters in life, my son. I failed in that, but here in the end I am amending my mistake and doing what must be done for the love I have for my family. Your true strength isn't your power, or les or your armies, but it is the loyalty and love you inspire in men. It is those friends, comrades, siblings, parents and lovers that make us strong. It is they who help us rise, share our joys and sorrows, stand by our side in our best and worst times. You will become a man this world shall remember for a very long time, but I want you to do one last thing for me if you can. Consider it my last request, explained Minato patiently. Anything, promised Naruto. Hold your family and never let them go. Friends, parents, lovers or siblings, it doesn't matter because they all are a part. Protect your mother and find it in your heart to accept your brother. Obito is a good boy and loves you, look after him and Mikoto along with Kushina. And don't forget to sire many little Namikas and Uzumaki in the future, teased Minato. I am not a Namikas nor an Uzumaki, pointed Naruto, remembering his bastard status, earning a smile from his father. You are a Namikas and an Uzumaki as well. You might not have my name or your mother's, but you are RB. Be happy and remember that I will love you forever. He sat there staring at these two women as he remembered his father, what that man had done for him, what invaluable advice Minato had given him. Naruto regretted trusting Konoha, but he didn't regret fulfilling his father's wish. He had tried and Minato would accept it despite his failure. Now he had to what was necessary as the leader of his family. Become the man his father wanted him to be. Tsunade Senju. The blonde woman straightened up on hearing his iron voice. The white wolf was back in action. Yes, Lord Fourth, you have served me well and saved my life. You are an honorable woman whom I respect now, and you are also my family through B. As grateful as I am, you must know after that treachery I have but no choice to destroy Konoha once and for all, confessed Naruto. I understand, said Tsunade in a resigned voice. However, Conan has presented me a new option. A mission that involves rescuing my mother. Asked Naruto, concealing the hope in his voice. Yes, I have a few people still loyal in the village who oppose Danzo and they are ready to save Kushina, promised Tsunade, as Naruto narrowed his eyes. Who are these people? Asked Naruto sternly. Answer me now or forget any mercy from me, for I will reduce the land of fire to ashes. Make no mistake. Tsunade shivered on seeing his cold eyes and the silent fury. She had witnessed him hundreds of warriors, 4 of Kiri's great ninja swordsmen, and Tsukumo Hatake the White Fang all on his own. Naruto was his father's son, honorable but dangerous when threatened. Conan was surprised when Tsunade sighed in defeat. It is your brother. Naruto blinked at the revelation. Why would Obito do such a thing? But he then remembered those memories of Obito and Kushina, and as much as it hurt him to see his mother love another boy, Kushina had been a mother to Obito. Even Minato had said that Obito cared for her greatly and even for Naruto as well. Really? He asked hesitantly. Yes. It is Obito who leads the resistance with the help of Dan, Shisui Uchiha, Itachi Uchiha, 2 Senju guards of mine, and Rin, admitted Tsunade with great reluctance. Those are quite a few Uchiha, pointed Conan, earning a nod from Tsunade. Not everyone from that clan is mad like Fugaku and his lapdogs who Danzo's A. Shisui is Kagami's son and heir to the clan but was overthrown by Fugaku. He doesn't like the course his clan is taking under Fugaku. He is young but sensible, far beyond his age, so is his friend Itachi. As for Dan, he is someone I trust and my Senju guards are loyal to me. Obito and Rin were your father's students and care for Kushina. They will save her, explained Tsunade honestly. Ike Shisui's father, said Naruto flatly. Yes, but Shisui says it was the war that killed his father and you were just the instrument. He wants an end to this madness and for peace to return, urged Tsunade, making Naruto smile. Who would have thought a Senju would be arguing on behalf of an Uchiha, said Naruto in surprise, as Tsunade stared at him. I am not my uncle or his mad dog who now rules Konoha. My supporters are few but also ones who see sense that Konoha cannot win. Certainly not after the news that reached us today. Your friends are quite remarkable and dangerous, said Tsunade. They are. Very well, what do they all expect from me in return? Asked Naruto frankly. Life for them and their families. Their properties and wealth to remain theirs. And for you to accept me as the new leader of the Land of Fire. Naruto had known about Tsunade's demand from Conan, but to hear the woman say it was the final confirmation. You ask for a lot, he said bitterly. And we risk our lives and that of our families to save your mother along with offering peace. I'd say it's fair, replied Tsunade without hesitation, and frowned when he chuckled a little. I will decide what is fair and what is not after what your village did to me. You and your supporters are offering me this because you know Konoha is facing devastation. Nagato has already formed the coalition of my dream. Yahiko and Daibutsu conquered Kumogakure. Soon enough we shall crush Iwa. That leaves you where? Asked Naruto tersely. Tsunade flinched, for most of her bargaining chip was lost when Naruto's friends achieved those victories for him. As much as it pained her to accept, Naruto had fostered loyal and capable leaders under his command. They were his true strength. Then what do you propose? Asked Tsunade with clenched fists. Save my mother with your rebels and I'll spare their life along with their families. I'll even leave their properties and wealth to their name. My brother will return to me with Kushina, for I promised father that I would look after them, stated Naruto without hesitation, much to Conan's surprise. And the land of fire. Half of it shall be annexed under my rule. As for the rest, the Senju family can rule as noble lords acting as my vassals on one condition. Conan had known about his decision for quite some time, considering it was she who had recommended it. It also made her prepare herself for a violent response. What is it? Asked Tsunade, tethering on the brink of unending fury. You shall marry a trusted comrade of mine, and your sons and daughters shall be united with the Uzumaki family. Tsunade's anger flared as Conan got up to defend, only to have a massive K intent, making them both stop. Raise a finger and I shall see your tea right here, promised Naruto M. Try it, boy, for I will never accept your demand. I served you faithfully and this is how you reward me, roared Tsunade, but Naruto's cold gaze didn't falter. You serve me because you see benefit for yourself and your people in that mostly. You are a good woman, but if you want to be a leader, act like one. The new world is going to be a different place where your nation shall no longer hold the power that it currently has. Save my mother and I'll let you along with the other rebels live in peace. But if you refuse to marry my comrade, then forget about ruling half of your nation, for I will burn it to the ground along with all of your people. Tsunade froze. She looked into those cold eyes, hoping to see he didn't mean it. But to her horror, he looked right back at her without a flinch. And it was Conan who spoke. Naruto is an honorable man and does not want aim of an entire nation. It will not be good for the world and set a dangerous example for future generations. But he wants peace and stability, and it can only be achieved if your descendants share ties with him even more closely. If you refuse, then I will personally lead an army and your people, Tsunade Senju, promised Conan fiercely. Senju Tsunade was stunned. Were these two the same young couple who had acted so innocently in the morning? It was then she saw Naruto's giant pet standing between him and Conan. The similarities between the three were clear as day. They were wolves, and they were not going to show mercy again to protect their pack from any future harm. Naruto's ice-cold eyes landed on her. What shall it be, Tsunade Senju? Naruto watched Tsunade sail away on the bird Conan had created that would take the Senju to her nation. He had taken great risk by entrusting her with his mother's life. He wanted to run and save Kushina on his own, but Conan had advised against it, for he had no army for now. Almost his entire army was with Nagato, and the rest were with Yahiko holding Kumo in his name. I don't like this, he said, earning a tired nod from the girl beside him. Neither do I. But you're in the Great War now. One that shall change this world forever. Nagato and his forces have secured the west by making Suna kneel along with all the smaller villages. But Iwa is still a threat. Once it is taken care of, which is not an easy task, we will focus south. But before you start any new campaign and reveal your survival, you must secure the north that Yahiko has taken in your name, explained Conan patiently. I don't like politics. I'm a warrior, not. Too bad. It is what you have to be now. You started a war for justice and revenge, but what comes after is equally important. It is our duty to give stability to this world one way or another. If you run off to Konoha now, you will for sure, because despite your strength those lands are protected by strong shinobi. He growled at her. I can defeat them. Conan called upon all her patience in order to not lash out at him. She had to remind herself that for all his talents on the battlefield, Naruto was still new at ruling. He had started to do a good job by following her advice by taking a hard stance with Tsunade. But there was still more to be done, much more. Yet he again surprised her by turning towards her. I want to save her, but I am new to this strange world. Being a Zukage was challenging enough. Give me an army and I can do great things. But my political decisions, apart from naming Nagato my heir, have been complete disasters, he confessed, guiltily staring at the sea that had become a graveyard for so many of his soldiers. Will you follow me? He stared at her intently. Conan had always been the more rational among them. She was politically savvy through Hanzo's tutelage all these years. She was one of the first to make him rise to leadership from just a common bastard. And he could see she had a plan. Yes, he agreed, as she smirked a little. What she told him next made his heart stop. His eyes widened to comical levels by what she had suggested, so much that he leaned on the nearby wall for support. You can't be serious, he whispered in disbelief, but she held his gaze confidently. I am, and you must do this if you want a peaceful future for all of us. And you know it is the right choice, you just have to gather the courage to make that decision. But the others, he protested, but she waved her hand dismissively. Are already on board with this plan. Lord Arima has already marched with the Akatsuki forces of Azu and 500 of your clansmen. Yahiko and Daibatsu are overjoyed to hear that you are alive and have made the preparations. For the union to really work, you must do this, explained Conan seriously, as he blinked in surprise. How long have you been working on this plan without even telling me? He asked angrily, which made her a little ashamed as she glanced down. Since I arrived here, I have already sent the messages to all our comrades. Nagato should receive the good news in a few days if the weather is good. I'm sorry, I wanted to take you on board but you were in no condition and time was of the essence, she apologized. He emmed his forehead as he felt a headache arising. This was too much, and despite Conan's audacity her heart was in the right place. We must trust each other, Conan. You cannot take such big decisions before informing me and certainly not without my consent. She looked down for he was right. This was her greatest flaw, she knew what must be done to make the peace but she couldn't inspire that kind of loyalty which Naruto could. He was loved by the people, even those who didn't know him would love him if he gave them a peaceful future. I'm sorry. He was still staring out at the sea, not saying a word. Sometimes silence could hurt more than words. Conan decided to say something she had never dreamed of saying to anyone. I did it because I love you. It took all her courage to stand and hold his gaze as he instantly turned towards her. His eyes a mixture of shock and something else which she couldn't decipher. Conan, I am not a gentlewoman, Naruto Uzumaki. When we first met I didn't like you, but you have a way of making people love you as time passes. Slowly but surely I learned about you, what you have done and endured, fought beside you, saw your good heart. And as stupid as it sounds, I came to care for you. He saw her staring at the sea with moist eyes and confessed something only the bravest person could do. When you won Azu, I saw how you cared about your people despite their mistreatment of you. I asked myself, how can a man love so many strangers without expecting anything? I saw you around Akano and Nagato, how you loved and cared for them. And I wanted that for me too and more. You made me enjoy the little time we spent around each other, showed me there was more to life than duty, which was the belief on which I lived my life. And when her voice cracked as she remembered the pain she had felt on hearing those news. It was as if someone had held something very precious from her, something she couldn't live without. Someone whose loss made her so angry that she butchered thousands. Never in her life had she imagined doing something for anyone. It was not until I thought I lost you that made me realize what you meant to me. How I had allowed myself to be so attached to a man so much that it hurt. I don't expect you to love me, I never have, but I will not let you fall again. When she finished her confession, she felt so tired but also felt a great burden being lifted from her shoulders. But with that came again the silence that made her heart beat faster. With great courage, she looked at him and saw he had grabbed the edge of the wall very tightly. His blue eyes were a storm as he battled a tirade of emotions she had unleashed on him. Conan didn't know that she had given him an invaluable gift along with the great burden. I love you, Conan. I do. The dazzling smile that started to spread across her lips, the bright flame within her heart threatening to consume her entirely, was extinguished by his next words said with great pain. But I also love another. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.